Greetings, my name is Boone Zavik, and today on the Immuno Labs Podcast, we're going to be focusing on metabolic health makeover, how to boost your metabolism naturally. By the way, take a moment, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and then as you have any questions or any comments, anything that comes to mind, or any tips that you could offer to anyone else watching this, go into the comments section, write it out. Good, bad, otherwise. I love your comments. Put it in there. It helps boost us in the algorithm. It helps more people see this information. This is how we make a change. More people need to understand even the basics to the most complex stuff. Like it, subscribe, share it, comment. It helps a lot. Let me get into it. Most people think that metabolism is something that you're either born with or not. So either you have high metabolism or you don't, and there's nothing you can do about it. But that is a myth. Science has shown that your metabolism is flexible, all right? And today, I'm going to show you how you can reset that naturally. So why does your metabolism matter? It controls how efficiently we burn calories, how we manage our blood sugar, and we store fat. It impacts our energy, mood, focus, and even our longevity. So there's a few common myths. Like one myth is, I was born with a slow metabolism, there's nothing I can do. But the truth is your lifestyle factors like food, movement, stress, and sleep make the biggest difference in your metabolism. So the roadmap for today is food, and then how that leads into movement, how that leads into sleep and stress, and how that leads into gut health, and then an action plan for you. So first, understanding metabolism. So by definition, metabolism is the process by which your body converts food into energy, or ATP. And we also have your BMR, which is kind of your resting metabolism versus your active metabolism. So BMR, that's the energy needed for basic function. So breathing, circulation, brain function, just for you to just stay alive in like zero gravity stasis. How many calories do you need? How much is your body burning? And then there's active metabolism, which is everything on top of that. So exercise, daily movement, brushing your teeth, just anything that isn't you just lying and doing absolutely nothing, okay? So the key regulators to your metabolism are your thyroid hormones, your T3 and T4. They set your metabolic pace. And then also your mitochondria, which are the power plants that produce energy in your body. Then you have insulin and other hormones that regulate that regulate storage versus burning of the various energy that you get. And then your gut bacteria and how it influences your glucose metabolism and your fat storage. So what are warning signs of poor metabolic health? Well, the biggest one is going to be constant fatigue and afternoon crashes. So if you're experiencing that, there's something you can probably improve on in your metabolism. And some of the things can be very simple. If you're gaining weight despite dieting or exercise, something is off, right? If you have brain fog, poor concentration, and if you have intense cravings, especially for sugar or carbs, these are all signs that something's kind of up with your metabolism, and we're going to talk about what those daily habits are, because at the end of the day, your body is going to take care of itself. It's going to keep producing energy and doing things, but depending on what fuel, depending on what habits, depending on the cycle of how you do this, that is what's really going to influence your metabolism. Your metabolism is not this singular thing out there that you can just dial up or dial down. It's a culmination of your daily habits. So whole foods versus processed foods, because one of the first things, as I mentioned on this roadmap, is food, right? So it's the nutrition for your metabolic health. You want to be eating whole foods, high in fiber, vitamins, and phytonutrients. You want to stay away from processed foods. These are stripped of nutrients. They will spike your blood sugar, and they promote fat storage. So when you're looking at your diet, that's the first place you go, okay, am I waking up and having like a Hot Pocket and then having like a McDonald's later? Like these processed foods are not going to be helping you, right? So that's a huge thing. Not only are they going to be calorically crazy and just low in nutrients, but they're not going to be the whole food to give you the energy your body really needs. Protein as a priority. So protein has the highest thermic effect. Meaning that if you're just eating, think of it like you're going to be in a winter storm And if you're putting on like a bed sheet, that's like carbs and sugar and things like that, like simple carbs. It's not going to keep you warm, right? Protein is going to be that big old puffy jacket that's keeping you so warm despite the blizzardy conditions, right? So that's what protein is. It has the highest thermic effect, 20 to 30% of calories burned during digestion, meaning that when you eat protein, you're burning that up quickly during digestion, which is great for your metabolic health. It builds and maintains lean muscle tissue, which also then boosts your resting metabolism. Your lean muscle tissue does. And examples of this are going to be chicken, beef, salmon, Greek yogurt, lentils, eggs, just those high protein foods. Healthy fats. You want good omega-3s like fish, flax oil, chia or chia seeds, and these help reduce inflammation and improve your insulin sensitivity. Also, the monounsaturated fats like olive oil, avocado, nuts, these stabilize your hormones, as we mentioned earlier, and avoid heavily processed seed oils and reheated fryer oils. These create a lot of oxidative stress and they're just not going to be good at all for your metabolic health. Also, as we look at carbohydrate quality, higher fiber carbs have slower digestion and they help regulate blood sugar, while whole grains, sweet potatoes, beans, fruit, over soda, candy, pastry, all these things can be very beneficial. Meal timing, you want to be eating with your circadian rhythm. So eating earlier in the day improves your glucose handling. You don't want to be having like a massive meal right before you go to bed. That is going to throw off how your body's digesting this and dealing with, kind of balancing out your metabolism throughout the day, which is also, if you're waking up and then just not eating and then only have some massive meal before you go to bed, this is wildly going to throw off your energy and just how you feel going through the day. It's better to kind of break up those meals throughout the day. Even if you're doing intermittent fasting, you'll wake up, you won't eat for a bit, but then once you hit that window, which is probably going to be around like maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, then you eat your food, you have your meals, and then complete your eating by maybe 8 p.m., like roughly 2 hours before you go to bed. Avoid all of that late night snacking, right? So I know some people that have done intermittent fasting, but it led to them just having a bunch of snacks and like not good food later on in the day. So the goal is just eat healthy, whole foods, something that you can sustainably do for the long time. This isn't a 3-month sprint. This is your entire life, ideally. With hydration, even mild dehydration really slows your metabolism by like 2 or 3%. It's also very easy to make sure you stay hydrated, right? Just have a water bottle readily available, as I try to always do. You want to aim for 2 to 3 liters daily. Water is needed for fat oxidation. And there's even a lot of calculators they can find on the web to say, I weigh this much, my lifestyle is like this, how much water should I drink? And it'll give you like a more precise idea. I know that for myself, I drink about 4 bottles of 40 ounces. So that's, a lot of water. And, just it all depends, but you probably need to drink more water than you think you do. So find one of those calculators or just start with this, 2 to 3 liters a day. And, once again, spread that throughout the day. It's not chug 2 liters in the morning and like you're good for the rest of the day. It doesn't work like that. You want to just pace yourself, spread it out, have a sip here and there. There's also going to be a gut bacteria connection to your metabolism. So you want those rich fibrous foods because fiber feeds good bacteria, which then produce short chain fatty acids that improve insulin sensitivity. Poor diet will reduce your microbiome diversity. This leads now to a higher risk of obesity and diabetes. So once again, another reason, just stick with whole foods. So with your metabolism, that's your energy, right? That's your engine to be able to move and do stuff. So you want to make sure that you're moving and having exercise. So, what about daily movement versus workouts? You don't need to only go to the gym, right? Like I try to make sure I'm sharing insights about, you could go and do this like fancy, crazy workout, CrossFit, Hydrox, whatever it is, but you can also just make sure to move. So a lot of times, after you have a meal, walking for 10 minutes to help your body process that glucose and process the food that you had, it can go a long way. It's such a small amount of time. It's such an easy habit. It's a habit that's already triggered by you taking a moment to eat and enjoy that food. Just stand up, walk around, 10 minutes, you're good to go. But yeah, you don't just have to go to the gym. Walking, chores, standing breaks, all these things count and they can help a lot. The goal is to keep your body out of energy storage. So you want to be moving and moving consistently throughout the day, or standing, just anything that activates you, because then your body goes, oh, okay, we're not in hibernation mode. Don't just pack this into fat. We're moving. Let's use this. Let's expend it. Strength training, anything that helps you build more lean muscle is going to help your metabolism. I'm sure some of you know someone out there that is really strong, goes to the gym a lot, works out, has a lot of muscle on them, and you'll watch them devour a bunch of desserts or kind of like go off their regular diet, but it seems like nothing changes for them, like they don't really affect them. Well, they have such a high kind of caloric burn rate at their kind of rest level because they have so much of this lean muscle. So if you want to be able to have more of that flexibility and more adaptability and like how you can kind of do things without having a big impact on you, more strength training, more lean muscle helps. But like anything, you don't get to that level by having tons of desserts and doing things that are out of your regular schedule. So ideally set yourself on a good schedule, and then as things come up, you have an event, you go to a wedding or Thanksgiving or whatever, you can fall off your routine a bit. It's okay. It's just more about what is the vast majority of your time that what is it that you're doing. Also with strength training, it can boost your insulin sensitivity, which will reduce your fat storage. Examples of some good strength training, squats, deadlifts, push-ups, resistance bands, like you don't have to overcomplicate it. You can find so many different workouts and great things on YouTube to just, begin with body weight. If you have zero money, but you have some time, body weight exercises can help a lot. If you have a little bit of money, you can go to Planet Fitness for like, was it $10 a month and have access to all their gym. It's not about doing the absolute perfect, training. It's just get started, get in there, get some resistance, get some weight. You don't have to lift the heaviest weight in the world. There's a thing you can look up called progressive overload. All these things can greatly help you build more lean muscle and get stronger. And it doesn't have to be hard or making you feel sore in order for it to be effective. But strength training is great. Also, another form of exercise that can help a lot is interval training, or you've maybe heard of it as high intensity interval training, or HIIT. HIIT. This is where you have short bursts of effort to improve your cardiovascular fitness and metabolic flexibility. The body learns to switch between burning carbs and fats efficiently. There's a lot of great research behind, HIIT workouts and how they're effective. Just pick any of these workouts I'm going through, any of this type of movement, and just have that be the one that you start doing regularly. So whether it's increasing your daily movements or adding on these workouts, the strength training or the HIIT interval training, just pick one of those and start to improve upon it, and then just keep expanding, doing more until ideally you can kind of have all of these in your schedule, or you kind of work through throughout the week. Also your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, right? So it's basically like the calories that you burn from just your daily activities. You can increase this as well. Some simple steps: when you go to the grocery store, park, or when you go to any place, just park as far away as you possibly can, within reason. Like, don't park a mile away unless you have the time. If you don't have the time and you park a mile away every time you park, you will greatly improve your metabolic health and your cardiovascular health, but it will take a lot more time. But just park as far away as you can. So you're going to Target, don't worry about finding the closest parking spot. Park in the furthest one. I promise you, they're open. You don't have to go, sharking around to find that parking. It's there. Park and then just walk in. So now you've increased your NEAT activity, right? Also, if you, depending on what your situation is, if you live in an apartment or whatnot, if you have the ability to take the stairs. I used to live on the 9th floor in the apartment. I tried to take the stairs as often as I could. At the time I had a Fitbit, so it also monitored how many stairs I took. So it was another score to improve upon, see how many stairs I could take a day. But yeah, do that. Actually, another time I lived on the 6th floor. Same thing, I take the stairs as often as I could, especially leaving. Sometimes going down the stairs can be more enjoyable than going up them, but just to find things you can do to kind of just improve that score a little bit. And this can also account for hundreds of extra calories a day. So, sometimes people get so fixated on like, oh, like how am I going to reduce caloric intake in my meals, which is, the easiest way to do it. But also like, think about how can you just be a little bit more active, because all of that compounds. And then also it kind of changes the way that you view yourself. You're not like someone that's like, oh, I just want to, find the closest spot and, I just want to sit down. You'll start realizing, okay, like, now if I'm going to, go into the mall and I need to shop here, like, let me park on the furthest away place in the mall. Let me walk around the whole, mall before I get to this store. Even if I parked right by the store, walk around the whole mall, then go in and then get whatever you need. And then maybe you'll choose to take another whole lap around the mall and then get into your car and then go. Those little things can really equate to really improving that non-exercise activity. And then mobility and stretching. This supports your circulation and recovery. It reduces inflammation and stress hormones when paired with breathing exercises. So these are all things you kind of do to wind your day down. In another video, I talked about sleep and winding your day down, winding it down with stretching, or kind of like as you're getting closer to bedtime, having some stretching to just relax your body. It can really help a lot. So what about stress, sleep, and recovery? How does this, interact with your metabolic health? Well, stress and cortisol, they, are closely related. So your chronic stress raises cortisol, which encourages fat storage, especially belly fat, which is more than likely the fat that you want to get rid of. Like when most people think about losing weight, they're usually focused on the abdomen, which unfortunately is where majority of our weight goes. Actually, I guess that's for good reasons. Like if a majority of the weight went to your forearms, that would be crazy. Just have these big, massive, like turkey leg arms. But anyways, so what are some stress management tools? 5 to 10 minutes of breath work. Once again, if you have a smartphone that probably has some kind of baked in breathing exercise thing. I know my Apple Watch has a meditation thing that kind of vibrates to tell me how long to breathe in and when to start breathing out. You can once again find a YouTube that will teach you box breathing or other breathing techniques, or even just, the sighing of you breathing in and just sighing, the breath out. But there's a lot of different breath work things out there. Meditation apps or mindfulness. Once again, a lot of apps out there for meditation and mindfulness, a lot of videos as well. What's the one app that I've used before was, I think it's called Calm. That was great. There's guided meditation, gives you things to think about or rather not think about. Another one was Waking Up. I think Sam Harris, his app is great. There are a lot out there. You can simply put on a fireplace channel on YouTube and just, do your breathing and just help your body relax. It really does matter. It helps you sleep better, improves your metabolism. It's one of those things you just start building up this momentum and people think, well, where should I start? Do I need to buy this thing? No, you just start with the habit and you start building up that momentum. Walking in nature, that also reduces cortisol really quickly. So if you have a park nearby you, I know that for me, like what I try to do every night after I finish work, especially when I finish at an appropriate time, I go home and I take my kids around the neighborhood for a walk. So we're not in like, deep nature, but I'm in a bit more of nature, right? We're walking on a sidewalk, there's trees around, we're hearing birds. It definitely helps me relax. And I enjoy doing it. I love having my kids be a part of it because it helps them relax as well. And then you also get some of that energy out because by the time I get home, we'll kind of eat, quickly, or rather I eat kind of quickly. They would have already ate. And then we go for this walk around the neighborhood. Maybe it's a mile, something like that. It doesn't have to be some crazy 10-mile death march, but, just any kind of exercise, especially outside, can help a lot. Sleep as a metabolic medicine. So I've talked a lot about sleep. We had a whole other video about it. And ideally you want to get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. This will be optimal for your insulin sensitivity and your appetite control. So if you're finding that you're waking up having all these cravings, it could be that your sleep is it's something that could help. Also, sleep increases poor sleep increases ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, and that also will then lower leptin, which is your satiety signal. So when you have poor sleep, you're going to feel hungrier and you won't feel as satisfied in what you're eating, right? So it's a bad combo. Super hungry and not feeling satiated, like you've had enough, that is going to lead to just really throwing your metabolism off, and then ultimately your health goes off. So once again, sleep, so critical. Then also, overtraining versus recovery. Earlier we mentioned about exercising and putting this into your daily routine, and I stressed at that time, don't overdo it. Don't try to lift the heaviest weight in the world. Don't try to go to the gym for like 3 hours in some, crazy midlife crisis, like somehow this is going to make up for everything. Like, It's not. Pace yourself, 30 minutes, an hour, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to be at a breakneck speed. Just get in the gym, start improving, start learning more. People in the gym are super friendly. Like I remember when I first started working out like very regularly, I guess outside of sports and whatnot, is when I was in college. I just saw a dude that was like so much stronger than me, and I just asked him like, "Hey, can I work out with you? Can you show me like what to do?" He was super helpful, and actually he was my gym partner for a super long time, and like a great friend, still is. And all it was me just having the humility to just be like, "Hey, like, could you help me?" And of course, someone that's that dedicated, they love it. They love working out. They love exercise. They'll share tips with you. But getting in there is the first step. And then just, talk with people. They'll be able to help you out. Sometimes people even, will just point stuff out to you. Like, hey, you're doing this wrong, or not really wrong, but you could do this thing better or whatnot. So people are very friendly in the gym. Don't be worried about that. Just get in there. And then also don't overtrain. So, sorry, the point I wanted to make is too much exercise without recovery, that raises cortisol and that damages your metabolism. So that was back to us saying earlier of don't go on this crazy 3-hour marathon exercise. Like, it's just, don't do that. Just pace yourself throughout the day. Ideally, if you can, every single day of the week, do some kind of an exercise. If that doesn't work for you, because I know it doesn't work for me, I can't on the weekends. I'm spending time with my family, so I'm prioritizing them. But during the weekdays, Monday to Friday, every day, I'm working out. And I'm never feeling sore the next day because I'm not, going crazy. So that's what I recommend to you. And you have your rest days in there and your active recovery. So, yoga, walking, light stretching, this will restore the balance. So that's where I kind of have on the weekend, the Saturday, Sunday, that are like my rest days. But, for someone that has the ability, because if I could, I would work out every single day. But on those weekend days, I probably would just do like walking on the treadmill for like 30 minutes or some, low kind of active recovery type of workout. So now, what about your gut health and hormonal regulation? So there are so many connections between your gut health and your metabolism and, how your hormones work. I mentioned that before at the beginning that, there's a lot with your thyroid and how that controls your satiety and how, you're feeling hungry. But your gut microbiota as your metabolic regulators, lean individuals tend to have more diverse gut bacteria. Something to think about, right? Lean individuals tend to have more diverse gut bacteria. So that's something that you want to really be thinking about is like, what's going on in my gut? How can this improve? And then what can I do? I know we've had a lot of videos about probiotics versus prebiotics and what helps feed them, what helps with your gut health. If you haven't seen those videos, go to our YouTube shorts. You'll see a lot of them, or go into our Instagram reels. You'll see a lot of these videos. And then imbalances in your gut, this is linked to obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. So you want to be looking at, as I mentioned before, about the probiotics and prebiotics and the fibers around that. So what are probiotics, or what are some good probiotics you start incorporating in your diet today? Fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, those are all great. Prebiotics, so things that will feed your probiotics, garlic, onions, asparagus, bananas, beans, all those are easily available, and you want to make sure you have a good combination of these, right? So you want to, I guess, think of it like if you have a plot of dirt, right? That's your gut, and you want to grow grass. You wouldn't just be like, oh, I'm just going to throw seeds and like have it work. No, you need to throw seeds, have the nutrients, water it, right? So you have your gut, you want to be, having some yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, then you add some some prebiotics to it, the garlic, onion, asparagus, bananas, beans. That combination leads to healthier gut lining and better glucose control. So with hormones and metabolism, the hormones that affect this the most are going to be your insulin, leptin, and ghrelin. So insulin regulates blood sugar and fat storage. Leptin signals fullness, and resistance leads to overeating. So you don't want leptin resistance, right? Your leptin signals your fullness. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone, and that one spikes when you're sleep deprived. So we're talking about how important sleep is. You want to make sure that you're not getting this intense hunger. Also, food sensitivities and inflammation. Hidden triggers like dairy, gluten, yeast, these can increase inflammation. Inflammation leads to disruptions in your hormones, and this now slows your metabolism. It can also lead to poor sleep, which then spikes your ghrelin. Then you've got your hunger hormone going off the chain. So it's all added in, right? Just build up the habits. And, with regular testing, every probably 3 to 6 months, get your blood print done, adjust your diet, improve your metabolism, your sleep, your gut microbiome, all that will improve. So what's the conclusion here? What's, the action plan of what you can do? It comes down to nutrition, right? The food that you're eating, movement, stress and sleep, and your gut health, right? So that's the prebiotics, probiotics, which, links in largely with nutrition, the food that you're eating. So what are some simple first steps? Eat protein at every meal, right? Focus on that protein intake. I think the number is like 0.7 grams of protein for every pound you weigh, or for just easier math, 1 gram of protein for every pound you weigh. If you weigh 200 pounds, you should have 200 grams of protein. So when you're sitting down at a meal, look at what the options are. If you want to have a salad or whatnot, hey, add on the chicken breast, add on that protein, so you're getting enough of that protein as well. Add a 20 to 30 minute walk daily, right? Maybe it's when you first wake up, you want to grab a coffee, walk around your neighborhood or something. Great. Maybe it's at the end of the day, like I do with my kids, you walk around. Maybe it's your lunch break. It takes you, 10, 20 minutes to eat your lunch, but maybe you have an hour lunch. You can then take that 30 minutes to just walk around outside, or just, go to some nearby gym and get on the treadmill and just walk there for a bit. You don't have to go at a breakneck speed. Next, prioritize sleep. 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, right? Not 7 to 9 hours of laying in your bed watching Netflix. That doesn't count. 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. Practice one stress relieving habit daily. Maybe it's the breath work, maybe it's the stretching, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's the meditation. Just pick one of those, practice that daily. And then also personalize your diet with that regular testing, right? So if you're wondering like, where should I begin? What should I be eating? You said protein, which protein is going to be right for me? Reach out to us at Immuno Laboratories. We'll get your blood print tested. We'll tell you exactly, what to do in your diet. Your metabolism, isn't fixed, right? It's not just like, oh, like I did these things, it's done. No, it's a consistent small changes that really create a true metabolic makeover. So, if you want that makeover, it unfortunately is not one and done, but it's also the good news, because if it was one and done, it could be one and broken, right? So instead, just those daily habits, start with what you can do, build that into a routine. Now this becomes normal. Then add something else or add some other improvement. Maybe you went from this 20, 30 minute daily walk to now you're doing strength training. You're learning more about it. You finally reach out to someone in the gym being like, hey, like you're really strong. Can you show me a couple pointers? Like, what's your workout routine? Like, how do you do this? More than likely they'll be happy to share with you. And then just keep making these improvements. Please take a moment, subscribe to our channel, like this video, and please drop a comment. We're just talking about metabolic health. What's a metabolic makeover that you've done for yourself? What's a tip that you would like to share with someone else? Drop that comment below. It makes a huge difference in more people seeing this. And most importantly, it's the relatability. I shared things that I believe to be true and that have helped me. Maybe you can share something that'll be a great insight for someone else. That'll be kind of the thing that really makes a huge difference for them. If nothing else, just the brainstorm, just the sharing of ideas, it helps all of us. Thank you so much.